Hello, I'm Bob. It's a pleasure to have you here. And today we are answering a deceptively simple question. What nutrients does one American adult actually need? The most honest answer is this. Nutrient needs are not one size fits all. They change with age, sex, pregnancy, breastfeeding, body size, activity, medications, and medical conditions. So this script uses the clearest federal baseline, a healthy, non-pregnant adult in the United States, with male and female differences stated whenever official reference values differ. In America, nutrition guidance has also changed over time. The Dietary Guidelines for Americans have been issued every 5 years since 1980. The Nutrition Facts era took shape after the 1990 labeling law, and folic acid fortification of enriched grain products began in 1998. Us all reminders that modern nutrition policy is really a story of prevention, not just calories. Today, the official framework still rests on dietary reference intakes, FDA daily values, and food-based guidance that favors nutrient-dense eating patterns over miracle foods or single-ingredient obsession. Water is a nutrient. For adults, adequate intake is about 3.7 liters a day for men and 2.7 liters for women, counting both beverages and the water already present in food. Carbohydrate has a recommended dietary allowance of 130 grams a day, the amount set to supply the brain with enough glucose. Yet most healthy adults are advised to think beyond the minimum and place total carbohydrate within about 45 to 65% of calories. Fiber is different. Americans need more of it. Men ages 19 through 50 are advised to reach 38 grams a day. Women 25 grams, and targets drop slightly with older age. Protein matters not as a bodybuilding slogan, but as maintenance for muscle, enzymes, immune function, and repair. The adult reference is about 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight, which translates to roughly 56 grams a day for men and 46 grams for women in the DRI reference model. Total fat belongs in the diet too, usually around 20 to 35% of calories, not as an enemy, but as a carrier of cell structure, hormones, and the fat-soluble vitamins. Within fat, two essential fatty acids stand out: linoleic acid and omega-6 fat at about 17 grams a day for men and 12 grams for women, and alpha-linolenic acid and omega-3 fat at about 1.6 grams for men and 1.1 grams for women. Protein quality also matters because the body must receive 9 essential amino acids across the day. Histidine, isoleucine, leucine, lysine, methionine, phenylalanine, threonine, tryptophan, and valine, which is why a varied protein pattern remains so important. Now the vitamins. Vitamin A supports vision, immune function, reproduction, and growth. Adult targets are about 900 micrograms RAE for men and 700 for women. Vitamin C supports collagen formation, wound healing, antioxidant defense, and immune function. 90 milligrams for men, 75 for women. Vitamin D is one of America's recurring weak spots because it supports calcium balance, bone health, nerve and muscle function, and more. The adult recommendation is 15 micrograms, or 600 IU, from ages 19 to 70, rising to 20 micrograms, or 800 IU, after age 70. Vitamin E, another antioxidant nutrient, is set at 15 milligrams for adults. Vitamin K, critical for blood clotting and bone-related processes, is 120 micrograms for men and 90 for women. The B vitamins are the quiet infrastructure of metabolism. Thiamine is 1.2 milligrams for men and 1.1 for women. Riboflavin is 1.3 milligrams for men and 1.1 for women. Niacin is 16 milligrams Ne for men and 14 for women. Vitamin B6 is 1.3 milligrams for most adults, 19 to 50, then rises to 1.7 for men over 50 and 1.5 for women over 50. Folate is 400 micrograms DFE for adults, and women who could become pregnant are specifically advised to get 400 micrograms of folic acid daily, because this vitamin is crucial very early in fetal neural tube development. Vitamin B12 is 2.4 micrograms for adults and deserves extra attention in older adults and in people who avoid animal foods, because absorption and intake can both become issues. Pantothenic acid is 5 milligrams, biotin 30 micrograms, and choline 550 milligrams for men and 425 for women. Choline often gets overlooked in casual nutrition talk, yet it matters for liver function, nerve signaling, muscle movement, and normal metabolism. Then come the minerals and electrolytes, the nutrients that keep electrical, skeletal, and oxygen-carrying systems running. Calcium is 1,000 milligrams for most adults 19 to 50, and that target rises to 1,200 milligrams for women over 50 and men over 70. Phosphorus, a partner in bone and energy metabolism, is 700 milligrams. Magnesium runs through muscle, nerve, enzyme, and heart rhythm functions. About 400 to 420 milligrams for adult men and 310 to 320 for adult women. Iron, essential for red blood cells and oxygen transport, is 8 milligrams for men and 18 milligrams for women ages 19 to 50, then 8 milligrams again for women after age 50. Zinc, vital for immune function, reproduction, wound healing, and taste, is 11 milligrams for men and 8 for women. Iodine, necessary for thyroid hormone production, is 150 micrograms. Selenium is 55 micrograms. Copper is 0.9 milligrams. Manganese is 2.3 milligrams for men and 1.8 for women. Chromium is 35 micrograms for younger adult men and 25 for younger adult women, with lower targets after age 50. Molybdenum is 45 micrograms. Fluoride, though often forgotten in nutrient conversations, has an adequate intake of 4 milligrams for adult men and 3 milligrams for adult women, and helps protect teeth. Now to the electrolytes Americans recognize but often misunderstand. Potassium supports blood pressure regulation, but heart function, muscle contraction, and fluid balance. The adult target is about 3,400 milligrams for men and 2,600 for women. Chloride, usually arriving alongside sodium in salt, is about 2.3 grams a day for many adults, with somewhat lower targets in older age. Sodium is where nuance matters most. Sodium is essential. But that does not mean more is better. The adult adequate intake is 1,500 milligrams, while federal dietary guidance advises most adults to stay under 2,300 milligrams a day. The problem is not biology. The problem is the food environment. Americans average around 3,400 milligrams of sodium daily, and about 90% consume more than recommended. That is one reason sodium remains a public health concern. And this brings us to the larger American story. Modern U.S. guidance does not say, memorize 30 numbers and you are done. It says build a dietary pattern that reliably delivers them. Across current federal reviews, 4 nutrients or dietary components stand out as underconsumed in ways that matter to public health: vitamin D, calcium, potassium, and dietary fiber. On the flip side, sodium is overconsumed, and so are added sugars and saturated fat. Added sugars are not a nutrient requirement at all. The advice is to keep them below 10% of calories. Saturated fat is also advised below 10% of calories. On a 2,000-calorie reference diet, FDA daily values translate those upper limits into about 50 grams of added sugars and 20 grams of saturated fat, while the daily value for sodium is 2,300 milligrams. This is why the label is so useful. 5% daily value or less is considered low, and 20% or more is considered high. In practical terms, Americans do not usually fail nutrition because they forgot molybdenum. They fail because the routine becomes too dominated by sodium-heavy, low-fiber, low-potassium foods that crowd out the basics. So how does one adult in America actually cover all these nutrients without turning life into a chemistry exam? The federal answer remains beautifully ordinary. Build meals around fruits, vegetables, grains, protein foods, and dairy, or fortified soy alternatives. Whole fruits and vegetables help with vitamin C, potassium, folate, carotenoids, and fiber. Beans, peas, lentils, nuts, and seeds contribute fiber, magnesium, potassium, folate, copper, manganese, and plant protein. Whole grains help with thiamine, niacin, riboflavin, iron, magnesium, and fiber. Seafood, eggs, lean meats, and soy foods help with protein, B12, iron, zinc, iodine, selenium, and choline. Dairy foods and fortified soy options can contribute calcium, vitamin D, riboflavin, potassium, B12, iodine, and protein. Fatty fish and fortified foods are especially relevant for vitamin D, a nutrient many Americans still miss. Fluoridated water can matter too, especially for oral health. A practical day might look far less dramatic than the supplement aisle suggests. Oatmeal, berries, and yogurt at breakfast. A bean and vegetable grain bowl at lunch. Fruit and nuts as a snack. Salmon, potatoes, and a dark green vegetable at dinner. And water, milk, or a fortified soy beverage as routine drinks. That pattern does not magically become perfect, but it pushes the intake profile in the right direction. More fiber, more potassium, more calcium, and more magnesium, more folate, more protein quality, and often less sodium and fewer added sugars than the default convenience pattern. For older adults, nutrient density matters even more because calorie needs may fall while needs for calcium, vitamin D, vitamin B12, and protein stay important. For menstruating women, iron remains a bigger issue. For pregnancy and breastfeeding, needs change substantially, especially for folate, iron, iodine, choline, protein, and total calories. So the numbers in this script are a foundation, not a substitute for personalized care. The deeper lesson is that all nutrients work as a team. Calcium needs vitamin D support. Red blood cell health leans on iron, folate, vitamin B12, and vitamin B6. Blood pressure and heart function are shaped not only by sodium, but by potassium, magnesium, fiber, body weight, and overall pattern quality. Immunity depends on adequate energy, protein, and a web of vitamins and minerals including A, C, D, zinc, selenium, copper, and iron. That is why isolated trends so often disappoint. Human nutrition is not a single hero nutrient. It is an orchestra. So, What does one American adult need? Water. Enough protein with all 9 essential amino acids. Adequate carbohydrate. And much better fiber. Healthy amounts of fat with essential omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids. Every vitamin from A through K, plus the full B complex and choline. Every essential mineral from calcium and iron to iodine, selenium, zinc, chromium, molybdenum, manganese, copper, chloride, potassium, sodium, phosphorus, magnesium, and fluoride. And just as importantly, restraint with sodium, saturated fat, and added sugars. Yay, when Americans meet those needs consistently, the reward is not only better lab numbers, it is stronger bones, steadier energy, healthier blood pressure, better muscle and nerve function, healthier pregnancies, fewer deficiency-related problems, and a diet that can support a long working life and a longer retirement. In the end, the most mature view of nutrition is also the most practical. Eat a varied, nutrient-dense pattern often enough that the spreadsheet begins to take care of itself. Supplements can help in specific situations, but federal guidance still treats food as the primary delivery system because foods bring combinations of nutrients, protein quality, and dietary components that pills alone do not replicate. The wisest habit is not chasing perfection in one meal, but repeating a sound pattern across the week. It is shopping with the label, cooking with intent, and letting consistency do the heavy lifting.